Yes, you're right. The sergeants would say.
All right, you guys, now I'm going to tell you something. Now, the Colonel's coming, see? And as usual, the Colonel ain't very happy. And I ain't very happy either. Look at this giant. It looks like Coney Island on a Monday morning. Hi, Sarge. What's the action?
Did you see Corwin?
Yeah, I seen him, but I couldn't take it, so I sent him over to the mess hall. He's on KP.
Okay, take him away.
Right, Sarge. All right, my friends. Now I want you to fall out, spread out, and pick up everything when ain't growing or nailed down.
Good evening, and welcome to Insomnia Theater. I'm Paul Gannis. At War with the Army is a 1950 American musical comedy directed by Hal Walker, released by Paramount, starring the comedy team of Martin and Lewis, and introducing Polly Bergen. Filmed from July through August 1949, the film premiered in San Francisco on New Year's Eve 1950. Martin and Lewis were an American comedy duo comprised of singer Dean Martin and comedian Jerry Lewis. They met in 1945 and debuted at Atlantic City's 500 Club on July 25, 1946. The team lasted 10 years to the day. Before they teamed up, Martin was a nightclub singer, while Lewis performed a comedy act lip-syncing to records. They performed in nightclubs and, starting in 1949, on radio. Later, they branched out into television and films. In their early radio days, they performed as Martin and Lewis, but later became hugely popular as Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. These full names helped them launch successful solo careers after parting. Although Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin had appeared together in films twice before, this marks the first starring vehicle as a comedy duo. The film is set at a United States Army base in Kentucky at the end of 1944 during World War II. The protagonists are First Sergeant Vic Puccinelli and Private First Class Alvin Corwin, who were partners in a nightclub song and dance act before joining the Army. The film is based on a play by James B. Allardyce that ran for 151 performances from 1948 to 1949, with Mike Kellen and Kenneth Forbes repeating their roles. The film follows the play fairly closely, although it adds a sequence of an absent without leave Lewis in drag fending off the amorous advances of his drunken platoon sergeant, a sequence on an obstacle course, and the addition of several songs written by Jay Livingston and Ray Evans. When Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin signed with Paramount Pictures, it was with the provision that they could make one film outside the studio every year for their own company, York Productions. This film was the first fruit of that negotiation, with the stars exchanging their usual salary for a 90% cut of the profits. However, on the film's release, the two found themselves in the midst of a protracted legal battle over their contract and the profits. After several years, they relinquished all financial interest in the film in exchange for dropping their stipulation that they make films outside of Paramount. At War with the Army grossed $3.3 million in the U.S. and an additional $1.4 million in France on a $420,000 budget. Pretty nice profit margin. The reviews are mostly favorable at IMDb, including one of the best spoofs of Army training, great musical comedy with Jerry Lewis at his slapstick best, great when Dino is on the screen, the film that established Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis as a top comedy duo, and the almost perfect classic comedy of the time. It's one of the funniest films I've ever seen Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis perform in. Until next time, this is Paul Gannis. To quote Dean Martin from the film, "Love is a flower that blooms so tender, each kiss a dewdrop of sweet surrender. Love is a moment of life enchanting. Let's take that moment that tonight is granting." The popcorn's hot. Enjoy the film.
Come on, Dean.